Well, it's just a day to go until the U.S. President Donald Trump and Joe Biden face off in the U.S. elections, possibly one of the most important in recent history. Trump is already preparing legal challenges to the vote counts. Jagruti Dave joins me live now from Washington, D.C. Very good morning from our side. Anyway, to you, tell us about what's happening today, the last day of the campaign trail, and what they're both hoping to achieve.
Well, it's the last leg before Tuesday, where the last votes will be on election day. And really, both candidates are hitting the battleground states that they believe are crucial to their chances for the White House. Donald Trump has been taking part in a marathon number of rallies. He's been in 5 separate states. He's gone from Iowa to Michigan, North Carolina, Georgia, and he is in Florida as we speak. Joe Biden, of course, has been campaigning very differently. He's held more socially distant rallies as opposed to the jam-packed crowds that we've seen at President Trump's events with few people wearing face masks. Joe Biden has had smaller, more socially distant events, and that has continued as he's been campaigning in Pennsylvania. He did a drive-in event there in Philadelphia. He's been appealing to black voters and Latino voters in Pennsylvania. It's turning out to be one of those key battleground states. Pennsylvania, if you remember, was part of the Democrats' blue wall that the president breached in 2016. And so it's clear that Biden campaign sort of strongly hope that they can take Pennsylvania back by appealing to the minority communities there, but also white working class voters and suburban women, many of whom voted for President Trump in 2016. But the polls show are, leaving the president, potentially considering voting for his rival Joe Biden. Joe Biden kind of attacked the president on the coronavirus, as he has been, known to do. And Donald Trump has been continuing to attack Joe Biden on the economy, claiming that he would shut down the country if he became president.
All right, so that's the big question, isn't it? What really happens if Joe Biden does become president? We know that Donald Trump is setting himself up for quite a legal battle if he loses.
Well, the thing about this is that a record number of Americans have voted early in this election. Many of them have voted by mail, and this has been spurred on in large part due to the coronavirus pandemic. Now, postal votes take longer to count than ballots that have been submitted in person at the ballot box. And so it's unlikely that the results are going to be known in a significant way on the night of the 3rd of November. And so on top of this, many states have been granted by the Supreme Court permission to allow ballots that have been that are received after November the 3rd for a few days to be counted. So states like Pennsylvania and North Carolina. There are other states where that has not been granted, such as Wisconsin. But that is also another issue, that ballots that are received after November the 3rd can still be counted up to a certain point in some states. And President Trump has been on the campaign trail really heavily questioning the legitimacy of those ballots. He said in Iowa earlier today that the results should be known by November the 3rd, even though traditionally the results generally aren't finalised on November the 3rd. It takes a while for all the results to be tallied. But this is really drawing into question, once again, the president, he's already questioned the legitimacy of mail-in ballots, claiming they're subject to fraud, even though there's no evidence that they are subject to fraud in any way among the states that have used mail-in ballots. He's now again questioning the legitimacy of these ballots that are received after the November the 3rd election day. And so he has said to reporters that he's going to go in with lawyers. So there's preparation potentially for litigation should there be a close contest.
And Jagruti, I mean, how are people feeling there? I mean, this is a country that has been devastated by the coronavirus more than many other countries in the world, and how increasingly polarized the country has become under Donald Trump. What is it that people want to see from these elections?
Well, that is the thing. It's how much the coronavirus pandemic is a key election issue, and again, polling suggests that it is to some extent an important election issue. But how does it compete when you look at the economy, for example, as a key election issue, which is hugely important to many voters? Of course, the pandemic has affected all aspects of people's lives. As we've just been discussing, it's affected the very nature of this whole election campaign. But in terms of how people are feeling, I mean, the divisiveness that you mentioned that's gone through throughout this campaign, what you're seeing in many cities across the country, here in Washington, D.C., you're seeing businesses boarding up the frontages, shops and stores, boarding up because they are in anticipation of possible protesting and violence as a result of this election, which is just extraordinary to see here in the United States. A sign of how divisive this campaign has been. And as we've just been talking, there are suggestions that divisiveness could continue past November the 3rd.
All right, Jagruti, thank you very much for that.